Today I want to talk about kata. First, I want to define what I mean by kata. Most of the people that I've spoken to locally only understand the word kata to mean the style of kata in Okinawan karate or Shotokan karate. And if you don't know what that means, it's a routine, a floor routine that is like a dance that you do by yourself with an imaginary opponent. The application that is found in the kata is called bunkai. And the application or the bunkai can be varied depending on the person's interpretation. There's another version of kata, and that is a two-man form, a set two-man form. It's not bunkai. When I explain it to my friends, they say, "Oh, you mean bunkai?" No. It's a set two-man form. It may or may not include set variations as well. Now, even though I'm a practitioner of Japanese martial arts and we use these kata, I'm not a fan of them as a training method. The only person that I've seen that teaches kata in a way that I feel is as functional as you can get with kata would be Hatsumi Sensei, Masaaki Hatsumi. He would use the kata more as a starting point and then show variations off of those kata, with the point of it being that you get the essence of what he was trying to show you to inspire your own freedom of movement. It was ways of opening your mind, or you could practice certain sequences as a way of training you out of your ingrained patterns so you can express different modes of movement and thinking that you're not comfortable with yet. But the biggest reason why I'm not a fan of kata for actual fighting ability is because you're always living in the world of imagination. So if the kata is the guy punches you and you block it, his reaction is supposed. It's assumed. He will react this way, which opens this up, and then I'll hit him there, which will open that up, and then that opening will allow me to do this technique, and this will be his response to that. Maybe. But it's always fantasy. It was always imagination. So it has value. There are things you can learn from it. Any kind of a pattern training like that. But to make it your only way, you'd be lucky to produce good results that way. Sometimes people get good in spite of that training method, because some people only do that training method. And even worse, some people say don't change the kata, just do that pattern, and if you do it enough, it'll spontaneously happen. Like, you'll get a surprise attack, and all those patterns that you rehearsed will somehow in the moment magically just come out. Maybe. But I don't know, I don't want to trust that, especially when there's other ways of training that are guaranteed to produce provable results. So if that's all you do, work basics in a pattern, and then work kata, which is a combination of basics in a pattern, and then your variations are also a pattern, it's not going to produce usable ability. And that's just not my thinking. That's what I've seen. I've been around people who do that since like 1980, 1981. And when put under pressure with realistic attack sequences, With a person who's actually responding to their response, in other words, fighting back, it almost always breaks down or is very sloppy and just doesn't really go their way. And then you combine that experience with other people who don't train that way, who train in different ways. And those people, lo and behold, have functional ability. They can actually do the techniques. So is it the techniques or the way they're training the techniques? Well, it's the way they're training the techniques. You have to have reflex drills, attribute drills in general, because these techniques do require attributes. It's a myth that you can be real skinny and weak, or really old and broken down, or really fat and lazy and out of shape, and you know, just because of the magic of your special style, when you get attacked by a group of bad guys, the magic's going to work. You know, I would hate for people to find out the hard way. But yeah, that's why I don't really like Kata as the main training source. It's a tool. I do use it, but it's, 20%. Your time's better spent training in different ways if your goal is functional ability. And it's a provable point. I can show it, I can prove it. Now, having said that, to each their own. A lot of this is done in Japan, but what a lot of people don't understand is Japan is an incredibly safe place. I haven't met anybody in Japan who was at a high level of Japanese martial arts, who was a physical specimen, or worried at all about real fighting. It's a hobby for them. It's a cultural thing for them. These people are oftentimes businessmen, and instead of hiking and golf, they choose kobudo. And that's cool. But their mentality is different. I could learn Filipino or Indonesian martial arts from people who might have used it yesterday. Their lifestyle is very different. If you're living in a ghetto or a barrio or a village, or just nowadays anywhere in America, basically, you can encounter violence. So it's a different mindset than someone who is living in one of the most peaceful places in the world, who's doing it as a hobby or a cultural thing. So that's it.